Hi everyone, this is Swade from CoasterExplorers. I was lucky enough to take a single day trip on April 14th, 2024 to Six Flags over Texas for my personal very first time. Overall, I was really impressed and the park far exceeded my expectations compared to what most enthusiasts usually say. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. Today, I want to take a look at arguably the park's headlining attraction, New Texas Giant. New Texas Giant is a very significant roller coaster, as it was the very first coaster to be built by American manufacturer Rocky Mountain Construction, more commonly just called RMC. New Texas Giant opened to the public in April of 2011 as a hybrid conversion of the park's old Den Corporation wooden roller coaster called Texas Giant. With 4,200 feet of track, this coaster packs in a lot. New Texas Giant is only one of two RMC coasters to feature the Gerstlauer trains rather than the RMC trains, and the design of the trains for New Texas Giant is very unique and I really like them. The front of the train sports the front end of a Cadillac DeVille, with each car having a small plexiglass side to resemble car windows. The rear of the train is also designed to be the rear end of a DeVille. So when you leave the station, you'll take a right-hand turn to ascend the 153-foot lift hill. If you've ridden an RMC before, you'll know the iconic sound of those loud anti-rollbacks as you go up the hill. The ones on New Texas Giant aren't that loud, but they're a staple piece to any RMC and I enjoy listening to them. Once you crest the lift, you'll take a 79-degree, 147-foot drop into a double-up. Once you clear that double-up, you'll fly into a 90-degree overbank turn, which is then followed by a quick little drop into yet another overbank turn, this one being around 95 degrees. Once you go through that, you'll go into another tiny drop, yet into another overbank turn, this one being around 115 degrees. Once you clear up those three overbanks, you'll hit a decently powerful airtime hill. You'll then rise up into the mid-course brake run, which, if you're lucky, will not trim you. Once you pass through that, you'll drop into a series of low-to-the-ground transitions with some airtime hills. Throughout all of this, you'll pass through three tunnels, and then once you're done with all that, you'll hit those final brakes. So let's get to the actual review, and as usual, I'll start off with the overall intensity. New Texas Giant has a decent mix of positive and negative G-forces, and it doesn't really have a strong focus on one over the other, but it really focuses more on the transitions. These transitions are decently whippy, but they don't really hold up to the more modern RMC transitions. The overbank turns are really fun. They don't really pull too many forces though. They do give some decent laterals, but nothing that's super intense. However, just because a coaster isn't intense doesn't mean it's bad. And that's not to say that New Texas Giant isn't intense either. It just isn't as intense as a lot of the new RMCs. I love those low to the ground transitions into and throughout the tunnels. Exiting in and out of these dark tunnels adds a little bit to the intensity as well, but it's honestly just a really fun experience, especially that second half in my opinion. Next up, I'll briefly talk about the ride operations, which in my experience were pretty good. The second train would typically only sit on the brake run for maybe 30 to 45 seconds, although there were some times when the first train was already exiting the station when the second train was hitting the final brake run. This ride can run three trains, but only two were on the track at the time of my visit. But, I can imagine if they could really crank out trains if they have three on the tracks. The ride-ops also didn't make us wait to pull down our restraints like some RMCs, which helped to speed up the dispatches. My only complaint about the operations really was the ride-ops were stapling us. They would push the lap bars down excessively hard and really, staple you into that seat. But I can't really blame the park for that given some previous incidents with the ride. I would want people strapped in tightly as well. In terms of overall ride quality, you really can't go wrong with an RMC iBox coaster. I've yet to ride a rough RMC in general, and New Texas Giant is no different. I noticed throughout my rides that you do tend to bang your arm and elbows a little bit on the plexiglass on the side of the trains, especially on those overbank turns. It's not that big of a deal, but it does get a little annoying after a couple of re-rides. The restraints are pretty much what you would see on a typical RMC, although I do think the Gerstlauer trains offer a little more freedom than your modern RMC trains. I didn't get any night rides, unfortunately, but if I had to pick a best row for New Texas Giant, I'd go for the back. Front and back are pretty similar, but I think you just get a little more airtime in the back and you really get pulled down that drop a little bit more. For my final score, I would give New Texas Giant an 8. Like I've said, I've yet to ride a bad iBox coaster from RMC, but New Texas Giant just doesn't quite pack in the same forces that modern RMCs do. I still think it's a great ride, and it really shows how far RMC has come since its debut in 2011. So, what did you think? Do you agree with my score, or would you rank this RMC differently? Let us know down in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next one.